Today is the day of International Conscience, and I feel moved to participate in such a day because clearly we so desperately need a greater sense of conscious behaviour and to listen to our consciences at a much deeper level and on an international stage. Because one thing is for certain is that we are united by our existence on this singular planet. It is the only planet that as yet we can inhabit, and I suspect it will remain that way for a long time. We all live here together on spaceship Earth, as Buckminster Fuller once coined the phrase. And it is as if we are on a spaceship hurtling through space, and though we may have our differences, we have our different backgrounds, our different cultures, though we have so much that separates us, there is so much that unites us. We all breathe, we all need food, rest, sleep, protection, we need health. And there are so many other needs that we all share. The need for love, for appreciation, for community. And even though we may tell ourselves that we do not need some of these things, there's no escaping from the fact that the healthy person has a very long list of needs. And all of those needs can be met by life here on this planet. And if we learn ultimately to share and to support each other as we truly can, then this world could be a bountiful paradise with more than enough to supply each and every one of us with all that we need. The thought of international conscience. I mean, conscience is an unusual word. It's difficult to say for a start, and trying to explain what a conscience is to my children recently was interesting, without trying to put into their mind the idea that there's a voice inside our heads, because they're possibly too young to have really started to appreciate a voice in their heads. But the Christians allude to the idea of a Holy Ghost, and it's that part of a divine spirit that inhabits all of us. The Buddhists might describe it as a witness. There's something eternal at the back of us, that when we listen to our thoughts, who is it that's really listening? And that conscience is the thing that guides us to know when we're doing something that's right and when something is wrong. And unfortunately, it seems that there are those people in life whose suffering is so profound in their childhood that the survival circuits are formed in such a way that that conscience never gets a chance to fully install itself, that the need to survive in the face of abject suffering manages to silence that conscience. So I don't want to talk about conscience in some airy-fairy way that kind of ignores the fact that we can't assume that everybody is actually living with one. A conscience, that voice inside us that tells us when we're doing something which is right and when we're doing something which is wrong, is a voice that only gets to come to the fore when our needs are sufficiently met. And if anybody is suffering too greatly, there's no time for conscience. There's a survival thing that kicks in first and foremost. So it seems to me that we're never going to experience that utopic world of international conscience that we can imagine until the needs, the basic fundamental human needs of everyone on this planet have been met. Whilst people are still struggling for a home, struggling for food, struggling for water, for a place to be able to rest at peace, in peace, without abuse and suffering, I think that international conscience remains still somewhat away in the distance.